All right. Ladies and gents, we're catching up to live time here. Very important series as we close in on the conclusion of group stage. Now, for both these players, the situation's very different. We've got Hera coming in here in second place, and Hera needs as many wins as possible to try and catch up to get first place in the group. If he's first place or whoever makes it that first place spot, they will go directly to the quarterfinals. They will not need to play in a round of 12 in the playoffs. Now, LaaaN hasn't won a game yet. LaaaN is 0-9. But when thinking back on how LaaaN has played, I think there's been some promise. Like, there's certainly been some fight in a lot of games. I think even back to the first round when he was up against Freakin' Andy. Obviously, at that time, we didn't know how good Freakin' Andy was going to end up being. But, even still, LaaaN was really close to getting some victories. So, Hera is the favorite here. And on my prediction before everything started many weeks ago, I had predicted a 3-0 for Hera, as I think many people will expect. But LaaaN is here for a reason. He had 11 wins in gold, and it's no fluke that he's up here. I think the weakness for him, of course, he's not full-time Age of Empires. From what I know, he's spending less time on the game than he ever has. But again, I think there's a key difference with LaaaN. I see fight, and I see belief in LaaaN's play. Whereas with other players, we won't say any names right now, but it's be clear, they show up. They don't really believe in their abilities that much, or at least they haven't really prepared. Really nice civilization pick for both of them here. We've got the Khmer for LaaaN. The big reason you pick the Khmer is due to the ability to farm once you run out of food here. So, I've talked about how awkward that can be, because you've got the fish, which will be hugely important on this map. But eventually you run out, and then you have to make a mill, and then you have to make the farms. The fact that Khmer could just make a farm anywhere, they don't even need the mill before farms. But then also the fact that the villagers don't have to walk to the TC or walk to the mill, that just makes the food income really efficient there. Now, I was giving some commentary on the draft, and I even said in the previous series Hera played, I was like, people need to stop allowing El Dorado to be a map in a series against him, because it's been 3 rounds before this for Hera, and Hera has won on El Dorado every single time. One time he picked it as a home map, the other times it was neutral maps, but he looks really comfortable here. Also hasn't pre-walled this villager. That could be a dead villager here, and LaaaN doesn't even think to go for it, which is a bit interesting. Hera does add the palisade wall just in case, but yeah, and Hera's approach has always been like all the winning players in El Dorado. Again, there is a distinct theme if you watch the El Dorado games. It has not been the first person to place a castle or a TC in the middle. There's quite a bit of space here, too, to be honest. It is not that, but it is who has the food eco on the outside. Because Hera has won every game, being later to the middle, because he prioritizes tons of food and wood eco. I feel like all those games he's been on light cav, and he's been able to get the job done with no gold. So, yeah, that's going to be the important balance. I think with the way the civs play out, Malians have so much wood savings in all their buildings, it feels a lot more natural for Hera to play onto water. And then because of the farming bonuses I mentioned, I think it feels very natural for the Khmer to play onto land. So if I had to guess, I would say that LaaaN is going to prioritize the land. And we'll see if how things end up going on water. So anyways, Hera's up. LaaaN is up. Now, Hera has had interesting timings with anything he does on land. And I think he's going to do something slightly different this time. So, like, in the past, he would just full wall. I mean, these are crazy wall. Oh, my God. Jeez, dude. Just full wall. Like, no military buildings. He's really late to military buildings. But I think what he's going to aim to do here, and it's a bit interesting because he hasn't actually scouted to see LaaaN's dock at all. But he's just assuming his opponent is docked because, let's face it, you should dock on this map. He knows that this is where LaaaN is located, so he knows that LaaaN is probably going to have a dock, and he's going to walk forward and try and place a dock here. And that just allows him an easier path to killing fishing ships from his opponent. I'm wondering, like, what level, like, did LaaaN watch Rex? Did LaaaN see how Hera wins these games? Or did LaaaN, as the underdog, see El Dorado and say, where is Hera going with that Vil? Oh my God. This should be denied. That should be a dead Vil. LaaaN's not looking for the Vilt. Hera's like, what? LaaaN is looking for the Scout, and oh my god. I don't think LaaaN knows. That is really weird path for Hera to take. Hera loses his Scout, but Hera's going to be able to get that dock up, and I don't think LaaaN has a freaking clue. He is making a fire galley now. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. He kills Hera's Scout. Okay, he does know about this, but it will be awkward for him to deny this now. Well played from Hera to get there. But yeah, I think underdogs pick this map a lot or are happy with this being game 1 because it is a high-risk, high-reward map, and they feel like their best chance at snagging a win is on a map where there's all the stone and gold in the middle. And it also leads to a tendency to see the, wait a second, Hera, something has changed here. There used to be a blue villager inside of those palisades, and now there's a red villager in there. So Hera has walled in his opponent. Also, that villager is not taking any damage whatsoever from the fire because palisades block the fire. So LaaaN's like, kind of like, what? And he tries to reposition, and he tries to reposition again, and that villager's just going to run away. But anyways, you see LaaaN's thought process right now. LaaaN is thinking, scout rush, scout rush, scout rush. I don't think he expects Hera to be fully walled. Hera full walled a long time ago. So now, you've invested all this food into getting kills. You're just going to run into walls, and then you've got this headache on water to deal with. And this is the kicker, okay? This is where Hera excels. Behind this, he's adding more fish. This is perfect. Forward dock for the fire pressure. And then you just go up to like 10 fishing ships behind it, and your opponent's scouts don't contribute anything right now. And we'll see how LaaaN ends up playing this. LaaaN's got tons of wood. LaaaN's going to lose that villager. That was really impressive from Hera to wall in the vill. Has still kept the villager alive as well. And oh god, the villager's not repairing there, and things are falling apart here for LaaaN, and it's just such a comfortable situation for Hera to be in. And I don't even know what's happening here. Those villagers are just staring at each other. The Hera's going to try and wall again, and LaaaN's got to try and repair a fire, and it all goes down. And yeah, this is disastrous for LaaaN. This is just horrible. Hera's gone full water, and he's going to think about Castle Age, and I think the first upgrade for Hera in Castle Age will be War Galley. I'll worry about creating on land later on. Great stuff. Now, I think, like, on paper, obviously in the moment it's different. On paper, I think a way that you could punish Hera for this, but no one does it, is a tower. You go, like, you go heavy scout pressure and you tower this, and you could break right through. Hera's got no army. It's extreme greed, and, like, again, it's not very meta these days. No one likes to do that, but I feel like, if you just sit at home, of course, LaaaN probably doesn't know that Hera's got all those fishing ships at home, but at least from where we're sitting, the luxury of these beautiful sky seats we've got, we probably, and I probably feel as though Hera has never even had a better start in El Dorado thus far. Again, 3 wins, crucial for Hera. LaaaN hoping to get any wins on the board. These fishing ships have not been working. They've had to flee. LaaaN trying desperately to recover on water right now. And LaaaN's going to be able to defend this area slightly, get his fishing ships back to work. He's adding more and more docks along here, but obviously Hera's got more navy than him still. And Hera's just going to click up to the Castle Age, and he's got plenty of time to sort out building up towards stable units, most likely, in combination with the navy. Hera needs these wins to try and get in first above Andy, right? Correct. But not only that, is because Hera lost to Andy, it is going to be a bit difficult for him to ever be tied with Andy and win on a tiebreak. The very first tiebreak is sets 1, and Andy is 3 sets 1, and Hera's 2. And then in the event that they're tied on sets 1, and then tied on, tied on points, and then tied on sets 1, I guess would be the way to say it, the head-to-head is the next tiebreaker, which obviously Andy won there. So yeah, Hera needs to try and stack all the wins, and when we came into this season, we expected Hera, who got 13 wins in the previous season, to be one of the favorites, in his group and win a lot. But he's got more losses coming into this round 4, than he did in all 5 rounds in the previous season. been really competitive. LaaaN clicks up to the next stage. Hasn't lost a lot. Let's give LaaaN credit. He still has the scouts out here. Does land a really nice demo there. Hera will be faster to Castle Age, though. Hera's on stone at the moment, and Hera's building up. And look at that food count for him. Also really like, just a small thing, but if you're going to make a mill somewhere, make it on the fish. I like that from Hera. I think Hera definitely needs to have the stable up a little bit faster in an ideal world so he could make units right away. But I think the most important upgrade in Castle Age on this map is War Galley. I think LaaaN got sucked into a bit of a trap. He's like, ooh, Khmer, so I can farm. Yes, that's super smooth. And a lot of people have thought it, but it hasn't worked out too well. Japanese, Dravidians, Malians, I think those civs are top 3, all for just playing towards the water and LaaaN's combo. What's Hera have? 6 wins right now? So half of those wins was on El Dorado. Obviously, he's going to move up to 7 wins if he's able to take this one. It feels inevitable right now, but I'm looking for ways for LaaaN to come back. And, you know, in all honesty, it's so easy for me, right? And, like, the opportunity with the bans is tricky because Hera's good on all maps. I cannot agree with having El Dorado be game number 1 when Hera has won every single game he's played in El Dorado in every single round. At least the approach from LaaaN didn't seem like he knew how Hera played it. Maybe he did, though. Maybe he did and just struggled to adapt to it. Sometimes, you know, the best strategies, you know what's coming anyways, and it still punches you in the face. So Hera will kill many of the fishing ships here from LaaaN, who is getting the War Galley upgrade, in all fairness. Actually, LaaaN's fishing ships may survive. Hera going for scouts. Going for scouts. He's not going for any knights, actually. And he sees the scouts from LaaaN. He's going to kill those scouts. LaaaN a little distracted right now. And then he's going to have a monk to convert the knight. And what did we say? First person in the middle. There's just something about it. Sometimes it can lead to a loss. Well, Hera's actually going to be the first person to come to the middle. Got a nice fishing ship lead behind this. Does need to produce more fires, though. And that's going to be a castle in the middle, and that will control all the gold. And Hera doesn't build a tentative castle, doesn't build a castle here, builds it right smack dab in the middle there. And you can see that on this map, so LaaaN will be able to see that and know the castle's on the way up now. Hera can just continue to stream in fires from this dock. This villager's still here, too. I don't know if you need to do much with her, but really, the forward dock approach was really nice from Hera. I like that. You could tell LaaaN just patrolled his ships that way, so he uses 2 demos on 1 ship, which is less than ideal. Hera has time to maybe sort this out, but he might lose that fight. Like have upgrade from Hera, like we've seen from him every game. And he's now got castle up in the middle. And he'll drop TC number 2 on some of that gold. It just feels like it's going to be really tough for LaaaN to break Hera right now. But he's holding the position. And the eco counts are pretty similar. Or here, Hera has to defend. Hera, actually, his dock is also blocking the fires there. So Hera defends very nicely there. LaaaN looking for damage there with knights. Hera noticed that. And, well, that should still be a conversion. LaaaN trying to be sneaky, but Hera can just shift the conversion. And yeah, that's a conversion. You can see what LaaaN tried to do. He tried to pull the other knight away, and that has to be a delete. And he kills the monk and now deletes? Doesn't delete. So now Hera has 2 knights he hasn't paid for, and the Lycav have attacked the gate. They've broken through, and the GG's called. And Hera with another win on El Dorado. So again, 4 out of his 7 wins now on this map. He looks very comfortable here. And it just feels like the approach that Hera takes, he's super comfortable with, and it feels to be so good against any of the few land pressure ideas that everyone seems to have on this map. Fish is key. Golden stone, key, obviously, eventually. But it's how you get there that matters the most, and Hera's approach was sound. 23 to 19 KD. Eco count 15,000 resources collected there from Hera, and 13,000 from LaaaN, and LaaaN maybe picked it, or technically it wasn't a pick, right? It was the map remaining after a series of bans. So LaaaN was maybe okay with this because he thought it can be a map which snowballs, and he thought maybe the snowball could go his direction here, and unfortunately, it did not. All right, so after a bit of a delay, LaaaN apparently had a phone call. We are here in game number 2. And this is LaaaN's home map. Sorry, we're going to refocus on the game here. Now, I feel like this map has just been fantastic. Like, there are so many skill elements to this map. I am a big pros and cons guy. If you look at any of the maps that I implement in my big events, I have maps with options. I like maps where you've got, you know, like, for example, the previous map. Huge benefit to take stone and gold in the middle. That's the only stone and gold in the middle after you're starting stone and gold. But if you take it too early, you didn't take the fish. If you take the fish, but then you don't focus anything on land, the map was pretty open, right? Here, migration's similar. Where it's like, you've got the water. The fishing ships are so important, but then you need the land. How do you commit towards land? Well, that's an assortment of different options. How do you commit to their fish? It's just constant. And while there's similarities to every single migration game we have seen, every game is different in its own way. And this is where I'm a big Arabia guy. I play a lot of Arabia. But honestly, even as a player these days, I have less desire for Arabia to see the same, like, scout opening into full wall transition into the next army, which is all great. Don't get me wrong. I do like it. But, like, my hunger as a content creator, my hunger as a player, when it comes to high-level stuff, is just the maps with options and tiny little tweaks to similar approaches. And, it's just so in-depth. It makes me so happy. So, just to repeat the stakes, because it feels important after such a large break in between the games, at least for those on the live side. Hera needs a 3-0 here today if he wants to still maintain that potential to get first place. And he is favored to do so. LaaaN just wants a win. He is 0-10, unfortunately. And he's got a good civ forward here. I think Japanese and Italians are both very close. I think I prefer the Japanese if they're using the flexibility with their wood savings to control the middle with at least like a barracks and a stable. You just save so much on the lumber camps, the mills, and the mining camps. Now, what LaaaN could also do, like, let's say we're talking about just 300 wood. Just use that figure here. Well, you could use that 300 wood to make ships as well. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. You add another dock, and then you add another fire, and then you've got a dock up on your opponent to produce more fires, and then you're up on a fire ship. So it's like really tricky. Now, I haven't seen LaaaN play a ton of migration, but I remember he had a pretty good game. I think it was against Barles in this group. It was either Barles or it was Ganji. One or the other. I like the location for the house, actually. Because where else are you going to place it where it doesn't disrupt your wood at the moment? It's not like you're going to farm a lot on this map, but anyways, I'm not too sure what his playstyle is going to be here on Migra. If I had to guess, because LaaaN's more of a classic player, I would say that LaaaN goes for more the water approach. I think Hera's going to try and squeeze in more of a land approach. Do others use the same build order as here just now? 4 on hunt and then rest on wood? Yeah, pretty much. Everybody does a similar thing. What typically happens is right around now, basically right when you get to the point where you can afford to make your fishing ships out of this dock continuously, but then also get the next dock up, you go for the next dock. Some players will go for the second lumber camp before the next dock. Like with Japanese, obviously, with the cheaper lumber camps, this is a really nice idea. Italians have some wood savings too because they just have the cheaper fishing ships. But yeah, here Hera comes for the next dock. And so it's normally 10-ish fishing ships. I've seen all the way up to 15, which I think is excessive. I think 10 to 12 is kind of that sweet spot, depending on how you want to spend your wood. Remember, there's no boars on this map, so fish is really important. Hera's production on this dock, 91% of the time. What a pleb. What about LaaaN? Well, 77% of the time. But Hera's done a slightly better job there. But actually, LaaaN had his dock up earlier, so it's like, whatever. Obviously, the goal is to keep these docks and the TCs producing as consistently as possible. And I was just trying to get that point across, but yeah. Hera will squeeze LaaaN. Okay, calm down, okay? Calm down. I see what you're trying to do there. So Hera should know, right? Like Hera should know the build because his teammates have done it. Like Leary's done it with Dravidians. Nikov did it in Gold League. Granted, the most successful plays I've seen was with the Dravidians. But, you know, LaaaN doing the same thing at the moment. His wood efficiency is going to be crazy. T90's farming skills says I feel the Hera sweep as well, to be honest. Well, it makes sense, right? LaaaN hasn't won a game, and Hera was second place in the previous season. Not in his group, but Hera was second place in the playoffs, right? So if LaaaN hasn't been able to get wins against the other players, it would make sense that he would maybe struggle to get wins here versus Hera. But, you know, 1 win's $40 for LaaaN. Bit of pride, obviously. I think... I don't know how much a player like LaaaN really cares about public point of view. Like, I think for him, he's just doing his best. He doesn't care. But, like, my thinking is there's so many people who do not know how good LaaaN was in 2020. And, you know, he's committed to, you know, completed school. And I think last I heard he's like a lawyer or something, right? So I don't know if that's true. I haven't spoken to LaaaN in a couple months. But, like, and even still, I was just teams with him, with Dogal and Miguel. And literally the whole entirety of our group chat was just those 3 insulting each other. And I just participated by laughing at them. But the point is, it's like, if I were LaaaN, I'd kind of, you know, if there's a comment out there from someone who's like, man, this guy's not that good because he's 0-10, that would bother me. I'd be like, you don't even know how good I was. I'm just not full-time in this game. Yeah, you do get money if you lose all your games. But the best potential to get money if you're losing a lot is to get the $40 percentage-wise, that is, from a couple wins, right? So, Barracks at home, this is what we talked about. For LaaaN, he's not doing this. Now, the old way of playing, guys, this bothers me so much. It feels like we're seeing this way too frequently. The old way of playing was just walking across and forward docking. And how many games have we seen players just think they could walk out across the map? So now LaaaN's thinking, okay, well, that scout's weak. I lost my scout, but he can't kill me now because he doesn't have another scout. Hera's just going to track this down. Like, no loom tells me that LaaaN doesn't even know this is a possibility at the moment. And again, Hera hasn't created the scout yet. If LaaaN can get the dock down, could be some positives. But still, the villager is just so exposed. It's clear, you know, just hasn't really seen this meta we've had developing. He did actually bring his transport around. This could be really interesting. Hera right now thinks he's got him. Oh, boy. The transport ship's leaving now. Now, obviously, Hera's villagers are not they're not under threat right now. So, you know, for Hera, he's not going to lose these vills. He can always do stuff with these villagers long term. But the dock does go up for LaaaN, and LaaaN already has some fire ships on the way as well. So he has more fires than Hera. But, like, oh, guys, it bothers me so much! It bothers me so much. You should never, never lose those vills. You just gotta know, you're Japanese, you have the flexibility. Hera accidentally signaled here and says sorry. That's why he said sorry. Not for killing the villagers. That he should not apologize for. But no loom and not making a barracks just tells me he didn't even breeze through some of the videos on the Extras channel to see what people are doing. And then within the context of game number 1, right? Did he look to see what Hera had success with in previous sets? So this is the old meta from a player, a former top 10 who's looking to hang these days. And Hera killed LaaaN's scout. And LaaaN's now adding in galleys. So it's kind of reverse order from what we normally see. But maybe he's just had a change of approach because he feels like this is going very poorly for him. I could see in his mind he probably went, okay, I just got to win water now. Land is not an option for me. I need lots of water. You've got ships getting upgraded now for both. This forward dock is going to be something that'll be really awkward for Hera if he doesn't clear it up. So that's what he prioritizes now. Hera's got amazing vision on the middle. Now, I think the key is Hera just needs to build a TC with these vills. You build a TC with these vills, you start to think about the land eco. Yep, this is just textbook, right? Crazy outposting, though. Like, the outposting and town watch is really smart. Totally worth it. And now you're going to be able to see this villager. Now, I think this villager from land is actually just going to be making a dock. Oh my god, that demo from Hera was sick. It took out his opponent's demo and also weakened the 2 ships. This is not looking great for land on his home map right now. And his whole approach has just been smashed. The forward dock hasn't done a lot in other games, and Hera knows about this vill, and that is a dead villager as well. Wow. Okay, so now this needs to work, right? Like, the water has to work for land to have a really good shot. Hera's got the map control. Funnily enough, now Hera's going to sneak the forward dock, and that makes a lot of sense now, too, because land's fish are so close by. And, you know, galley approach relies on mass. There's 6 of those for land at the moment. But that is not a big enough mass. And another demo hits, and this is just going from bad to worse time and time again here for land. Now, Hera's approach sounds clean the whole way through. You could tell he's really paid attention to what other players have been doing. And again, that was the expectation here. He's also an extremely skilled player. And so the TC will complete here. He's also snagging the relics in the middle. And now he has random fires that are going to run in and try and kill land's fish, which land was not accounting for. Land is looking at this fight, hoping he's going to win it. He's not accounting for the fact that there's going to be fires coming in, and that's what that forward dock does. So it's like just the timing on the forward dock made a lot of sense here for Hera. Land's galley mass is getting bigger, though. He's going to have 10 galleys soon. Now, this isn't a GG right now moment for land. You got to take some risks to try and get more villagers to the middle, but your way back in this game, if you're land, is if the galleys pay off with a large mass. I think Hera would be comfortable losing water eventually, but if he holds control of it, and mainly his fishing ships, just for the next, like, 5 to 10 minutes, then eventually his approach with having the TCs and relics will pay off big time. So land really needs big fights. Big fights and big engagements. But it feels really awkward to go past this dock, because you don't know if Hera's going to pop out with a demo. And then you also have this to look at. Now, positive for land is land hasn't lost that many fishing ships, just because he's Japanese. If he was another Civ, he would have lost all of them. But yeah, go ahead. You run into the spooky darkness in between 2 docks. Oh, this feels like an awkward spot to be in. And Hera, microing the demos to the side. Land sees this. But then now your fires are gone. And now there's fires here from Hera. And Hera, don't even use the demo. Just use it as a bait. Because if those war galleys stop, they get churned up by demos. And it's 2 forward docks for Hera if you didn't notice that. Continues to send out ships. And Hera now has a 10 villager lead because he's got the TC, as well as still full vision on the middle and is getting all the relics. And I think Hera will feel like this game should not be losable from here. And I'm sure land felt like this is game over for him when he added the war galleys, guys. Because if you're relying on a ranged unit, you want to start making that ranged unit as early as possible. Him switching out of that, his original opening of fires, was clearly to me an indicator that he needs something other than what his original plan was. And here come a couple sneaky moves from land here to try and find fish from Hera. It's been a while since he's headed over that way. But yeah, you just can't. We've talked about it with this galley approach. It's just so hard to find the timings to ever, get that mass and really be able to accomplish much here in migration. Big demo from land. It's hidden. It's stuck. Boom. Good demo. He has a few more demos there as well. Here getting some kills. Hera's Vil count continues to rise. And I don't know what time I said Hera needed to hold water for 5 minutes, but it feels like we've about arrived to that point now. Somewhere around there, and this is the type of lead you'd expect to have. A way back for land now could be a faster Imperial Age, but you're only working off the resources of your island here. And it is also cheaper for Hera's civilization to get to the Imperial Age. I mean, that's a big positive for Hera here. Love the outpost approach. At the same time, Hera himself never researched Loom. there's never been a threat, right? Like, you know, the fact that Hera's walked around building the outpost is obviously fantastic for the situation, but I think the fact that he's been allowed to do so shows you that there is a glaring problem with the build up here from LaaaN. Hera consistently with more numbers on water. Actually, I guess the numbers are not higher for him. Now, I just looked at the fires. LaaaN's got 10 fires in combination. And, oh, a big demo from LaaaN. And he was waiting for something. But, yet again, the massive galleys struggling to stay alive anyways. Has to fall back there. Bit of pathing issues perhaps there. Galleys can be weird if you click them the opposite direction. Sometimes the ones that are in the back go to the front first. And then, yeah, it's weird. But, yeah. Just feels like a never-ending cycle where both players will fight on water, but Hera continues to get more and more of a villager lead. And with this, if Hera wins this game, and only this game, he will still pass Andy in the standings. Obviously, Andy hasn't played his 4th round yet, but Hera's still really going to need game number 3, but the way this series is looking, it looks like Hera's playing really comfortable, really smooth, and even with some big booms here from LaaaN, I think Hera's going to feel like there's just no way he could possibly lose this game. Charlie says, I think Leary and Viper have looked better this season, but watching Hera has been this inevitable feel when the mid game is close. Well, in this series, it's been very inevitable. But in other sets, like, I think it's telling what the preparation has been like for some of the other players in the group. Hera's preparation, I feel, like, it's always going to happen with the big names where they get better and better as the series goes on because they're not practicing things for these maps. They're just not. Not for group stage because they're favored to go to playoffs anyways. It's just, they're just not going to feel it's worth their time. So, like, both Viper and Hera, in my opinion, had really poor approaches in their first round. And then it got slightly better each and every round since. Leary, to me, has actually been the player of the 3 you mentioned. It's like every game, I really couldn't question much. Like, I can think of one instance where he played Tato on Hideout, where he, like, didn't get Loom on his villagers and walked past a Tato outpost and probably should have known that Tato saw him because he saw the outpost. But, like, of all the names thus far in TTL, I think Leary has actually performed the best. So, but I mean, guys, Viper had 11 wins in group stage last season, and then he got to the playoffs, and he won the whole thing, right? Hera had 13 wins in group stage. They both won their groups. Goes to the finals, Viper wins 4-1. So I think it really just... It is to be expected with the biggest names that they get better and better and better as they try and figure things out with the pool. What I've loved, though, is like Barles and Ganji and Andy in this group have all been really prepped and ready to go. Unfortunately, everything, like, there could be no critiques of what LaaaN has done over the last 10 to 15 minutes. Really. He's trying to go for his way back. It is just, unfortunately, an insurmountable situation. It always has been, I think, ever since his opening, and Hera playing with super optimal strategy here. Hera's on the way to Imp as well. So, like, this 2-minute window where LaaaN is faster to Imp is his way back. But is that going to be enough for him to win fights on water when Hera has more ships than him now? Maybe. Maybe Fast Fire Ship could make all the difference. But, I mean, the guy's short on gold. I think his plan is to win water again, transport to the middle, drop a castle, and hope he can find some damage with it. And maybe treb down Hera or something. How does Leary stay so sharp? I don't know. I mean, Leary, I think the only critique I've ever had of him and other people have had of him throughout his career is he's not as active on the game as others. But he's not a content creator, right? So he's not on playing the game a lot. And he takes his prep time very seriously for the game these days. And it feels like when he shows up, he's ready to play. Like 3 years ago, I was like, if Leary played the game more, Leary would be winning everything. But honestly, I kind of changed my tune. He goes late into every single big event he plays. And his preparation has looked really good over the last year or two for every event he shows up to. I can't make arguments that Leary would necessarily play better if he spent more time on the game now. And honestly, I'm kind of happy for him on a personal level too. because as far as I know, he's a young guy. He's experiencing life, and he always seems in good spirits. Always seems to be in a good spot. So he just has amazing performances. We'll see what happens there. We've kind of spun off to talk about other things, guys, because this feels inevitable. But LaaaN was able to transport in the north. This is the importance of Hera having vision on everything, though. He's going to see that. And, of course, LaaaN's, like, in the dark, right? He did actually notice 2 outposts from Hera, so he should know that Hera sees him. And the GG's called. I mean, this is before LaaaN really does anything with this TC. Hera's just casually building castles. And listen, guys, it's tough. I spend all of my time on this game. I have helped players practice. I have helped players prep for drafts. I cast every single game. This is my life, okay? This is not the life for everybody else, and I know for LaaaN, he spends less time on the game now these days. But what LaaaN did here, I feel is avoidable. If you watch through, you just click download on the Rex of a couple migration games. That's it. Speed through them. Go to the uploads. Speed through it. You could use ad block for me, LaaaN. I'm glad for you to skip the ads, because you do that, you never, ever in a million years play the game like he played this. And this is not the first time we've seen that this season, where players just come in under-prepped. It's just not giving himself an opportunity to have success when he can't make informed decisions on how people are playing it. I'm sure now he's going to go, there's going to be a light bulb, and he's like, oh, wow, that was super smart. Okay. That's doable. I can do that next time. That happens, as demonstrated by players who it would happen to in the first week, and then the next week they adapt. But, you know, with game number 1 being a map that LaaaN had some say in because of the way the draft is situated, right? And LaaaN could have looked and said, okay, Hera's won 3 times. 3 out of his 6 wins at the start of the series was on El Dorado. Maybe let's not play that. So he could have done that with game number 1. And now here, it's just... He's a great player. He's probably favored to be 3-0'd, but these are the types of factors I don't think helps him, is my point, you know? So, again, when it's my life and I care about this, and this has like been my existence for a decade, and I'm going to continue and try and go a decade more and work really hard for the scene and do everything I can and be as entertaining as possible. I've got such passion and interest in the small little details and all those things, so I feel those are avoidable things. I feel like maybe my expectations are a little far removed from the actual situation. So you tell me, am I being too harsh, or does that seem reasonable? I don't know. Maybe a mix of both, but I at least explain the thinking, and Hera obviously has played very well here. Hera up 2-0. The next map, here's the positive. The next map is not a map that LaaaN needs to know any like tweaks or meta or real depth of strategy on, because it's a map that hasn't changed in many years, and it's a standard lands map. So that is a big positive for LaaaN. The downside, obviously, is that it's Hera's home map, and Hera's very comfortable there. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so here we are, game number 3. Again, the positives I mentioned for LaaaN, because a little bit of critique on strategy and prep, is this is a map that he'll understand. This map is a map that he played in 2020, in his best year ever in Age of Empires. Actually, I think that's not true. It was 2019. When he was top 10, because it was pre-DE is when he was in that conversation. Anyways, he's gone for the Franks. I expect a scout opening here from him. Double berries on the map next to the TCs would be awesome. Expecting a lot of scouts from Hera as well, though, as Hera's gone for the Magyars. Now, Hera drafted the Magyars earlier than LaaaN did the Franks, meaning that Hera had an opportunity to pick the Franks if he wanted to. So he seems to put a little bit more weight into the Magyars here. And I think I do as well. But something that I believe we can see this game is LaaaN's ability to play 3 TCs with tons of mobility units. Like, the guy is really good. He's the type of guy who would normally favorite Arabia as a home map or something if he's not up against Hera, right? So, see how things pan out. Both players having exposed resources. This is LaaaN Madness after all. That is... Oh, LaaaN Madness, sorry. That is to be expected. Most notable thing, I'd say, as both players have similar amounts of wood lines, is actually just the gold. 4 tiles of gold very forward here for LaaaN. 4 tiles of gold very forward here for Hera. But if you can't take that, there's gold over here. There's gold and stone kind of everywhere spread out around the map. So the expectation here is we'll see 18 or 19 pop scouts. If I had to guess, I would say Hera is more up to speed with what players tend to do today. I think he will go 18 pop. Could see 19 pop no loom, which I actually think is really smart because your players usually aren't going to have any militia, so you don't really need loom. And so what that means is 19 pop no loom, you have an extra vill, but you're up at the same time as 18 pop with loom. So I would do that. The only weakness would be if LaaaN went for militia, really, which no one tends to do. Hera has a 0.09% chance of being relegated. That was before the games, though, right? I don't think he can be relegated anymore. Good news, guys. Good news. Hera's safe. Hera's safe from relegation. I think Viper actually has a 0.0 something chance of being relegated right now in his group. So, listen, if I know Viper, he is sweating right now. He is extremely nervous. Let's see. Let's see if I call the builds. 19 pop with loom. Hera's going to go 19 pop with loom. Dude, go. Come on. Take a risk here, damn it. I don't think there's any risk. You see players do it with Mongols all the time, and Mongols are just up a population faster. But, I mean, the risk would be if you don't have loom, you're going to lose a villager. So, obviously, players do not want to do that. Oh, it was 1.31% chance before, and now it's 0.09 for Hera. Okay. Well, for his survival, Hera needs to win this, but also for his chance of getting first place in the group. So, yeah. Now, I am curious on how the double berries will be utilized. Because if he mills this now, I don't think he has the wood for the barracks in the stable on time. Okay, you see what he did? He's like, I need wood. I actually think he may even send more to stragglers. It might still be pretty close. I like the idea. When you're Franks, you got to take advantage of it. When will Dogal play? We don't. So guys, the way things are structured right now is this is the last day for round 4, technically. Unfortunately, we're running a little behind what we would have wanted. So what we're doing is we still have the standard days off from TTL, which is Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. We start up again on Saturday. We do Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then instead of cramming like tons more sets into those days, we're also adding Wednesday in. So those 5 days, it'll be 3 sets most days, but then 4 sets maybe 1 or 2 of the days. That will conclude group stage. And then we start the playoffs on like a couple days after that. And then we conclude the playoffs on the 19th of October, which is a Thursday, which is, I know, very weird. Okay. I get that. So that's why I'm mentioning it a lot, so people realize. And that date will be October 19th. And then I have a very big announcement on that date. Nice little reminder for everybody. And no, I'm not shaving off the mustache just yet. That's what Dave speculated it was. That's not the announcement. So that really narrows it down for you. So LaaaN stole some pigs from Hera. Hera could use some food right now. He did push in a lot of deer, though. He'll be going into farms. Here comes Hera. Very late, I'd say, but not that late for LaaaN madness. So bold of Hera to pick a map that has the opponent's name in it. Doesn't LaaaN understand? Magyar scouts are cheaper. Magyar scouts have the forging upgrade, which is very nice. Frankish scouts have more HP. That is until Hera will get bloodlines, which requires 150 food and 100 gold. Both players should be pre-walling their wood lines or any exposed areas. Hera's doing that here. LaaaN has already done that. Does have some idle time there, but not that big a deal. But he did get housed, actually, so getting Town Watch at the moment. I actually don't hate Town Watch. I think that could actually help him because he is more exposed than Hera because he's doing the double berry approach. Whereas Hera just has one area. I just combined Hera and area and made it hairy. So, sorry about that one, Hera. Big fights here. Both players almost losing a scout. LaaaN actually does, though. Hera tried to kill a Vil very close to the TC. And, again, going to be hard to find some damage right now. But still lots of reason to produce scouts for map control, because more villagers are going to come out. More villagers are going to go on farms. The gold is needed. The other berry area is needed. Yeah, that town watch upgrade actually helped LaaaN there. This villager's been idle this whole time, and he just realized it because he looked at this part of his screen. That to me is a little weird, right? Because you should be spam clicking idle villager here, in theory, but again, maybe not the biggest deal. Res collected should probably be better for him because of the berries thus far. Yeah, he's collected more food, but Hera will have more farms, so it eventually evens out, in my opinion. Most players, if they're not Franks, are just going to be doing what Hera's doing here. Hera with 4 scouts, sees the 2 spearmen. My issue now is look at the amount of villagers you've got on straggler trees if you're LaaaN. You don't have those farms down yet. Hera's farm eco looking expansive. Looking really clean with the timings. It's just very easy with like your mentality in terms of how you play it when you play it like Hera's doing, because like with LaaaN, you got to worry about timing your farms a little bit differently and keeping your villagers protected. With Hera, it's just like villagers on straggler trees, always build a farm. Always build a farm. Villagers on wood are enough. Villagers on berries are enough. New villagers farm all the time. He's done a very nice job so far there. No horse collar for Hera yet. Yeah, he didn't get horse collar as part of this build, but I think if he would have done so, he would have sacrificed a scout number or 2. So ultimately, it's fine. I think horse collar is really important in the later stages of the game. And oh goodness, you got to make sure you have horse collar like when you're heading up towards Castle Age, and you're going to be reseeding a lot of farms. Generally speaking, though, I would always want to squeeze in horse collar, and the Franks do have that. And there goes Hera out to gold. Now, I think Hera goes bloodlines here. He's got enough scouts where you could justify it, but we haven't seen. Then again, it's like, I guess it depends on how he wants to play this, because he could just be thinking about gold for Castle Age. You would want to get bloodlines if your opponent has gone for lots of upgrades. Holy spears from LaaaN. Look at the spears! Please tell me you're going to leave some at home. Oh, he's got some at home, all right. He doesn't have enough at home, though. He does not have enough at home at all. He just wants to outpoke Hera. Now, Hera should be able to find some picks here. 2 spearmen is not enough to protect yourself. I'm not even sure 3 is, but Hera is getting bloodlines now. An important moment for Hera as he defends at home because he's getting poked. And you just know Hera's thinking, I'm going to pounce on this once I get bloodlines. That's a 20 HP increase on both units. LaaaN actually goes into the TC there. And LaaaN will have 4 spears. The woodline needs rewalled, though. And Hera might try and pull these away. You could tell he's tempted. He's going to take the fight. So he has the attack upgrade because he's Magyars, and then bloodlines. Let's see how it goes. Hera takes the fight, and he'll win. He'll just destroy the fight. That bloodlines upgrade was so important. And now I think LaaaN could be in big trouble. He's got all his spears on the front. Like, I kind of get the idea if your opponent's defending with spears, but he's made a lot of spears this game, and there's really been no reward for LaaaN. Offensively, there's been no reward. Defensively, there's been no reward. He's going to lose the majority of the villagers in this wood line. And I don't think that berry income is really going to make up for the losses he's taken here. That's 7 villagers down for LaaaN. Hera feeling very comfortable now. There is no way for this army to do damage. But I gotta say, you know, even if you question the spearman forward, I could see what he was thinking because he really wanted to apply pressure. This wood line at least has to be walled in. I think at one point he needed new villagers on wood. And so he had to delete them and, you know, never got the re-wall down. And Hera's just on the way to Castle Age. And he just kept his resources walled in. And Hera, again, just made it look really easy here. And I think for LaaaN, obviously it seems like an obvious misplay to go forward with the amount of spearmen he did. But he didn't know where Hera was at the time. And sometimes you're hoping that if you deny the gold, Hera has to come fight you so he can take gold to do what he wants, whether that be bloodlines or whether that be, if not bloodlines, that would be Castle Age. So, you know, it really should be. Now, this is where you need to get horse color before your reseeding farms, in my opinion. Back to the horse color thing. We'll see if Hera's doing that. Seems like he's just reseeding farms for the time being. And, because it's 75 food, it's 75 wood. Like, at this point, you've got the res to be able to justify it. So the forging upgrade came in Feudal Age for free for the Magyars, and then we'll have iron casting. This applies to the spears and also the scouts. And Hera's just going to repeat the same cycle where he has the scouts on the front in a position to be able to fight spears. And Hera has to send his spears back here. LaaaaaN could have killed a villager there. Like, that's a villager kill if he just goes for it. And there he goes. Hera doesn't seem too bothered by it. Hera actually just mispatrolling with his spears here. And no walling there from Hera. A little surprising. And, oof, LaaaaaN feels like maybe going for that one would be important there. As Hera takes the fight because he gets iron casting. And he's just going to melt the spears. Scout numbers greater than spear numbers. Especially with the Magyars. And LaaaaaN needs his quick walling skills to be working here, or this game will be over. And he does get the quick walls down. Some of the villagers are exposed, though. This villager's exposed. This villager can't work. But I personally wouldn't want to work in this economy. So, you know, I guess she just can't drop off the resources right now. Hera drops a TC on that little wood line there. Still is exposed over here, but lands at 29 eco at the moment. And he's going to use knights and pikes defensively here. As he goes into Hera's woodline, kills a Vil, finds another Vil pick now, so he's killed 3. But he is losing in that battle, and you know, here Hera sees an opportunity on the farmer. Should be able to get another little snipe there. And the Lycav are still on the prowl, and the pikemen for LaaaaaN have received a call. It says, come home, and LaaaAN's like, nah. I've just been destroyed here. I'm not going to be able to do anything. By the time I get home, Hera's got an advantage in some other way. And unfortunately for LaaaaaN, after 4 rounds, still hasn't gotten a win. He's 0-12. Can't explain the situation. LaaaaaN played very well in gold in the previous season, but I think for the promoted players, because of just like how good the top 24 are, right? The promoted players, they really need to have an idea of how things play out. I think we saw that a little bit more in game number 1, game number 2. Where the initial line of thinking on how to play the map was there for LaaaaaN, but that was like 5 or 6 weeks ago. It feels like a lot of the pros realized, actually, that's not the best way to play that map. Also, Hera looking better and better. Hera, one of the favorites for the group. So, you know, this was a prediction that a lot of people had predicted before we saw how any of the players had played this season anyways. So, let's take a look at the situation then in the group, because it's a pretty big deal. Where are we? Do I not have it? I do have it. Okay. Just pull this up in Group C. Sorry, it's always going to take a moment. I would just input this result and see what that means for Hera's chances. Of course, Hera now has 1 series remaining, so the max amount of wins that Hera can achieve is 12, which is still incredible, obviously. But with that result, it takes Hera up to 45% chance for first. And I mean, Hera could absolutely get first, because Andy has to play against Ganji and Barles, and Ganji and Barles have both been really good. Barles, he took a game off of Hera, for example. And then Ganji hasn't played Hera yet, actually. That will be Hera's last round. So this whole group's wild to me. And the direction things could go is pretty ridiculous. Jordan is probably hoping that Hera slaps Ganji around, that Andy slaps Ganji around, because Jordan doesn't want to be relegated. But, you know, Ganji's future will be decided based on the Ganji freaking Andy, based on Ganji Hera. Ganji has the biggest effect on the top 2 players in the group. And then, of course, is going to be fighting for his own life there. But that's what things look like after that result. We will have to wait a couple days for these matchups, but at least to conclude round 4, completely, we would need to see Ganji and freaking Andy yet. Because, and this is important you get this, the results we're seeing here is 4 rounds for everybody except for Ganji and except for Andy. So Andy and Ganji have 3 games in hand over everybody else with these standings, which is why their chances are as high as they are to go above Hera or, above some of the other names. So it should be very interesting in Group C. Hope you guys enjoyed the cast. And as always, thanks for watching.